Furry feral fantasies. Delphi was looking forward to attending his first furry convention and finally meeting his friends face to face. Craig was gonna be there too. Delphi was especially excited for Craig's presence, for it was Craig that helped Delphi discover his inner animal and bring it out. So many nights they had spent cybering online, and Delphi had grown submissive of Craig's dominant alpha nature. He had become enthralled by it. Months ago, Delphi had begun to externalize his persona with a fursuit and spent several $100s for a custom tailored design that matched him and his personality. An easygoing and friendly Samoyed breed dog who wasn't ashamed of his high femininity. He opted for a design that was a little higher and that wouldn't be too hot to wear for long hours. It was less loose and bulky than the usual fursuits, more skin tight, almost like a samurai, but would be small enough to highlight Delphi's curves and natural body shape. Delphi always thought that the head pieces of fursuits were too cartoonish and goofy looking, so he asked for something more in the style of a hoodie that would show most of his face, but yet retain the smile and friendliness of a samurai. To him, it wasn't about looking like a cartoon, it was merely about representing his inner self. As he strolled through the convention, he realized several members of the online community he was a member of by fursuits. Greetings and introductions all around, a little barking, whining, and other animal sounds. A natural scene at Furry's convention, all were ecstatically and playfully entertaining themselves among friends when suddenly a distant shriek was heard and most of the convention went quiet. Oh my god, is that him? Oh my god, it's him! Someone yelled. Whispers and muffled conversation all throughout the convention as Craig confidently and slowly paraded through. He wore the actual pelt of a wolf on his head and back, not like a regular furry, but like an ancient glorious warrior embedded with the might of 1,000 halls and successful hunts. Nothing could face him, hurt him or bother him, for he had the glare of a man, not man, a bit above all others, a conundrum of all of itself, for he was a lone wolf, but also the alpha of any pack he came across. Dolphy yelled, his voice deep and loud and mighty, commanding. Dolphy's heart stopped, his body frozen in disbelief that Craig himself was even more magnificent than he looked on the pictures and videos online. Dolphy could not resist and summoned the summon and went to him in quiet and reserved anticipation. The human equivalent of having the tail between his legs, approaching Craig and waiting for the next command. Craig came forward with a vicious smirk on his face. He was surprised to see Delphi. Craig's muscular arms reached out to grab Delphi's entire body and pressed it hard against his own. I can't believe you actually made it, he said softly. I only came hoping to save you. Delphi did not know what to think. He grasped in surprise. The most alpha out of all alpha says out loud in front of everyone that he was only there to meet him. He had a hard time replying, partly because he was at a loss for words, partly because Craig's impressive strength was making it hard for him to breathe. Come with me to come with me to come with me. Craig ordered him authoritatively. He pulled him by the hand and brought him to the stairway near the side of the mall hall, which led to the garage downstairs. Everyone was looking as they passed by, both in awe but also in jealousy. Ooh. Craig had already fucked and dominated most of the people there, regardless of their gender. They entered the stairway, and Craig turned Delphi around and pushed him against the wall hard. I want you now, and I'm gonna have you. He put his hand on Delphi's shoulder and pushed it forward while using his other hand to pull his hips against his, making Delphi lean over. Submit, he screamed loudly into Delphi's ear. Craig's commands were impossible to obey. Craig pulled down the bottom part of Delphi's fursuit as well as his own pants. Open up, bitch! Delphi spread his legs and protected his asshole towards Craig's crotch. Craig spit on Delphi's asshole and pulled out his massive cock and started smearing the spit around the asshole with his dick. He spit on his own dick a few times before asserting, "You're gonna be an obedient little bitch, aren't you?" "Yes, master," Delphi replied quietly. There were still some people traversing the stairway, shocked at the scene and unfolded. Craig reached under the back of Delphi's headpiece to grab his hair and pulled hard. "I didn't hear you." Delphi grasped in excitement. "Yes, master, I'm gonna be an obedient little bitch." This was so sudden, so violent and aggressive, but he liked it. This was totally on point with Craig's personality online and their webcam cybersex sections. The thought of having his butthole violently dominated in public made Delphi squirm in excitement. Craig said his word into Delphi's and slowly, "You're a tight little puppy. I like that." Delphi replied with a low, crying puppy's noises. Soon enough, they were at it hard and fast. It caused quite a commotion. Several other attendees entered the stairwell to witness the scene, and it wasn't long until some of them pulled out their mobiles and started streaming the show. Duffy was thrilled of being the center of attraction of his first free convention, and the idea of being dominated and humiliated by an alpha like Craig brought memories of how sometimes Craig would show their cyber sections to his friends as an example of how a submissive under his command should behave. Duffy had never felt like this in his life. Intense feelings of being dominated, humiliated in public by his favorite master. All the other furries were jealous, yet aroused. Craig was focused entirely on Delphi as all the mobiles all around recorded and streamed the domination. Craig suddenly looked to the side to see that they were the center of attention. His response, a loud feral howl that resonated all throughout the main hall and the garage downstairs. His howl sparked a general howl as most of the other furries joined in solidarity and submission. Soon the other furries sparked by the howl began to caress each other. The sight of Craig having picked a favorite evoked jealousy, but also arousal, and the rest had to make to do whoever was around and nearby in order to satisfy their. All thanks to Craig, he had the power to do that to people. It was no longer a free convention, it had become a free orgy. Not everyone was pleased at the sight of it, though. Someone had gone out the stairwell and called on the security guards working at the event. So the friendly security guard, who was mostly there as a formality, seeing people in the main hall dressed in fursuits and greeting each other with animal noises was quite a funny scene to watch. He could barely contain his laughter when he entered the stairwell and was faced with several furries pumping each other. His laughter turned to awkward disgust as he realized some of them were actually having sex. And there was a man with a wolf pelt violently and viciously railing someone in a white dog costume against against the wall. Mike, the security guard, muttered insecurely, "Alright guys, knock it off. Stop that and get out the stairwell right now. Let's go." He reached out for his radio in a desperate attempt to call for backup from the other security guards posted in the area of the convention. "Oh guys, I need backup fast in the Eastern stairwell. You're not gonna believe what's going on." A minute went by before the other security guards arrived. They were horrified at the scene. What started out as mostly a bunch of people in fursuits mildly and sexually caressing each other turned into a full-blown group sex session. A lot of them nothing but their headpieces. The security team couldn't withstand watching what was going on or smelling the scent of what was taking place at the stairwell. Many of the furries had been sweating profusely in their fursuits, and once they took them off, the smell of accumulated sweat and hormones filled the air. As the door of the stairwell opened while the security team exited the side of the scene, as well as the smell was caught by the rest of the attendants at the main hall. Soon enough, the pheromones and sexual screams of pleasure and playing infected the rest of the convention, and the orgy spread to the main hall as well. The shouts, commands, and pleads of a couple of police officers who first arrived at the scene was insufficient to deter the orgy. They tried arresting a few furries, but their only attempt to disperse the crowd were of no effect. The furries kept banging and hauling, and the more it happened, the more aroused. What the fuck? Thank God. It took 8 minutes for the riot squad to arrive. An entire battalion of men in full riot gear stepped out of several trucks on the street near the entrance of the convention center. Tear gas and pepper spray had almost no effect on the furries wearing headpieces. It was only when the chaos officers began arresting them that the rest began to run away. Chaos ensured all around while Craig was still fucking Delphi in the stairway. Delphi was on his third orgasm yet. Craig kept the same place non-stop, hard and fast, like an Olympic athlete, with unlimited stamina and libido. One of the police officers in the riot gear approached them in an attempt to break up the sex and harass one of them. Craig just backed at him, and the officer stayed back as if in fear. The officer then proceeded to try and push Craig off Delphi, but Craig just pushed back and backed even louder, and just kept pummeling. The officer lit out like nothing else in the world existed. Finally, the officer brought out the pepper spray and aimed it at Craig's face, a petty attempt. Craig, without hesitation and without breaking the penetration of Delphi's butthole, seriously, just grabbed the officer by the collar bar and pushed him downstairs. The officer got back up, disoriented and submissively, to try and arrest a target. Oh my god, Delphi shrieked, his eyes turning up to the back of his head, barely in control of his motor focus functions. Totally overwhelmed by the sensory overload, completely in awe of what just happened. No riot gear officer or pepper spray was gonna keep Craig from pounding his little man pussy. He came for the fourth time, his most intense orgasm yet. The fight with the officer had made Craig furious. He was filled with primal rage, combined with the discomfort of the pepper spray in his eyes. It made him reel Delphi even harder as he pushed Delphi's face into the wall. He was getting near his first orgasm. Buckle up, puppy. The alpha wolf is gonna pump your little bum full of cum. Craig whispered loudly into Delphi's ear before letting an immense howl that powered over the sirens outside and even made the nearby officers stop for a moment to glance in fear. And out of the undeniable splendor of that animal soul inside a human body, several animalistic and feral growls ensued in Craig's orgasm while he contoured her awkwardly and watched over Delphi in a magnificently majestic finish, winding down to a relaxed stance from the assertive and dominant demeanor he had before. We have to run. Follow me. Craig warned as he once again pulled Delphi by the hand to run away to a safe place and escape the police. Delphi tried to follow but just stumbled over, incapable of getting back. Craig had to carry Delphi on his back like a hunter carrying home his kill, because the several orgasms that had Delphi endured completely disabled his ability to use his leg. Delphi had tried to walk but would just fall over like a newborn deer. The multiple orgasms had done some sort of surgery on his leg, rendering him incapable of walking, standing, or even talking. He looked as if he was hallucinating. While running down the street with Delphi on his back, Craig noticed an abandoned house with the gate open. It was all torn down and derelict, a perfect hiding place from the cops. Surely there would be the target of a manhunt due to the streams of them online, being accused of inciting an orgy and a riot. Nobody would look for them here. The house was rumored to be haunted and to have built on cursed grounds, which would trap the spirit of whoever died there. Craig had heard of these rumors but didn't care. Nothing scared him, and the thought of further exploring Delphi's little puppy body sparked renewed desires in his eyes. Derelict and abandoned setting, combined with the fact that Delphi could barely move, talk, or even resist, made Craig ponder upon some of his darkest desires, his blood pumping with adrenaline from the previous adventure. but he was not satisfied yet. This was the perfect place to do the dark and daring acts of his deepest and most nefarious sexual desires. A little puppy tampered submissive like Delphi would be the perfect target for Craig's most gruesome fantasies, involving everything that would disgust even the most extreme fetishist. It was perfect circumstance having to lay low and over and hide over from the manhunt underway for inciting a riot orgy and assaulting a police officer. Dolphy was still disoriented and recovering from what had been done to his asshole, almost in a state of stupor, and he had no idea what he was in for. Tonight was the night Craig would tap into his unspeakable and unthinkable bloodlust. Wow.